Well, for more on this topic, we're joined by Su, managing partner at Amino Capital. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Now, as we heard there, a much greater proportion of students and scholars are returning to China at this point in time. Why are we seeing this momentum?
You know, not just because that China is the second largest economy in the world, but also that China is actually in this phase transitioning from, investment-driven economy to innovation-driven economy. So Chinese investor is actually pouring a lot of money in technology hotbed, so such as artificial intelligence. So as a firm primarily investing in Silicon Valley, out of our portfolio company of 100, we actually see 20 or 30% of the top engineers want to start a company elsewhere in the world, including China.
Now, you mentioned tech, so let's talk about job expectations. Are there particular sectors that are really drawing more graduates back to China?
So there are a lot of top engineers at Google or Facebook, and they actually studied in the US and never work in China. However, because of the data and analytics are so important, so Chinese actually are opening up with a lot of their data, especially for industry upgrading. So that actually opened up a lot of opportunity for overseas students to return to China.
Now, how likely are we to see them starting their own businesses rather than entering the job market?
Exactly. So you've seen, one of the largest companies actually in China, they actually acquire a lot of technological companies in the US. So that's one way to attract talents. But also there are startups actually funded by Silicon Valley, engineers. So we've seen a lot of returnees actually started to fund a company in Shanghai, Shenzhen, or Beijing. So they actually use technological artificial intelligence as their core business. So I think China welcome, returnees to start their own company in China for sure.
Now, what about the policies? How much does China's push in entrepreneurship and innovation play in a role in really luring some of these returnees back home?
Because China actually is transitioning to this technological innovation-driven economy, so the government actually and the regulator actually are forming a mechanism for foreigners and returnees to work with the government and regulators. So I think policy-wise, I'm very optimistic.
Now, what advantages, if any, do some of these graduates coming from overseas have over perhaps those who went to local universities in China?
Because there are a lot of returnees actually start a company in China, and they actually feel very happy to actually join a company, have similar culture they will experience in Silicon Valley. For example, we invest a company funded by a Facebooker, and it actually attract a couple of other, foreign students to actually join their company back in Hangzhou. And also returnees previously worked together with them in Facebook. So I think that actually could be very similar culture for them, so they feel very comfortable to actually join companies like that. But for local students, they also have similar experience working in IBM or Microsoft, so they have more choices to actually experience this global, global technological-driven companies. I think there are advantages, but I think both local and returnees, have similar type of opportunities.
And just quickly, what is China doing to really try and attract more foreign talent to China?
We've seen a lot of efforts has been made, and for global leaders, there was swordsman scholars actually established in Tsinghua University, attract like over 100 every year global students to go to Tsinghua. So I think 40% local students and I think 60% foreign students. So that actually paved a way for foreign students to see China, because the political system and the economy are different. So if you wanted to do a business in China, you wanted to understand those things. And also there are also challenges for sure.
All right, thank you so much. A very interesting trend there. Su, managing partner at Amino Capital.